The setup for the next success always comes from a little bit of adversity. Your measure as a professional woman is how you grow from that adversity, what lessons you learn, and what inspires you to take it to the next level. And it is my fervent hope that you use the network of women around you to help you do that, to help you grow yourself personally and professionally. And you deserve all the happiness, all the kindness, all the success. And I thank you so very much for being a part of it for me. I'm not the only one in the room who knows a little bit about how to move your life and career forward. It's my pleasure at this time to bring your keynote speaker to you. Brittany King is a senior recruiter and former career coach with a passion for serving women. She and I have that in common. She recently pivoted her career coaching business to pursue her life's work of empowering women to beat the odds in life and in the workplace. We have that in common also. She's been hailed as a social change catalyst and a woman's advocate. And she's created a bold reputation for herself as a speaker and community activist, due not only to her triumphant life journey, but her commitment to helping women overcome obstacles and realize their dreams. Brittany is on a mission to empower other women to live fully aligned lives with their own purpose. Ladies, you are definitely in for a treat. I was just the warm-up act. Please help me welcome Brittany King.
I'll take the mic out if I can. I like to move around, y'all. Thank you so much, Star, for the opportunity to share this platform with all of you amazing women. It is truly an honor to be here with you today. So you don't have to look at the screen. I don't have any slides. I like to just kind of flow with it. So we're going to be talking about grit today. And I want you to start by looking at the woman sitting to your left. Just take a second and look at her. That feels awkward, doesn't it? Now, look at the woman sitting to your right. Awkward again. So science says that there's a great chance that neither of the women sitting next to you will accomplish their goals. In fact, it goes on to suggest that more than 92% of us in this room will never achieve our wildest dreams. What is the missing component in the success equation? We live in a time when people are more educated, perhaps more talented, have more access to information and knowledge than ever before. But there is a missing link, and I believe that that is grit. See, there's the absence of that stick-to-itiveness and resolve that's causing us to fall short in the pursuit of our biggest aspirations. But if grit is the answer, we must first understand what it is, and second, we gotta know how we can obtain it. So grit can be defined in two ways. First, it is courage and resolve, or strength of character. Second, it can be defined as small, loose particles of dirt. Dirt, y'all. And I'm gonna pause there for a second. Grit is dirt, so today we're gonna get dirty. Is that okay with y'all? Can we get dirty in here today? Yes. All right, great. Because as I share the lessons with you that I have learned in grit, I want you to know that it hasn't all been butterflies and sunshine. It's been dirty and messy, but it's shaped me into the woman that I am today. So I have to say, this will not be the kind of speech where I just talk away and you guys listen. That ain't gonna fly in here today. We will interact, we'll have a good time, but I want us to walk away from here grittier than we were when we came. Are you guys ready? Yes. I graduated high school by the skin of my teeth and had a 1.9 GPA in college. I was a teen parent. 6 years ago, I found myself in a psychiatric hospital battling depression and anxiety. 5 years ago, I had nothing and was nearly homeless and on welfare. Today, I'm on a path of going from welfare to building wealth while helping women along the way. I've been featured in magazines, on TV, and have been recognized by previous leaders of our country. But all of the accolades pale in comparison to the joy I feel in helping women. I believe that grit, or the power to pursue my passions with intensity in the face of adversity has been the recipe for my success. And it's interesting because I've never had enough sense to think that there was anything that I wasn't capable of doing. I've always thought that I could accomplish anything that I put my mind to. There was no feat too hard, no goal too lofty. I just believed that I could do it, and nobody told me different. When I was in my last semester of undergrad, I participated in AmeriCorps, and as a part of my service to the community, I taught an alcohol and drug abuse intervention and prevention course to at-risk teens. I remember when we went on a retreat to prepare for our service. Now, we did some corny team building activities, and I don't really remember those activities, but I'll never forget a question that my team lead posed. She went around the room asking everyone, where do you want to be in 10 years? And I was in my early 20s, and my peers had standard answers. So they said things like, well, I want to have a big shot job, or to have this amazing family. My answer was a little different, y'all. I looked at my team lead and smiled, and I said, by the time I'm 35, I will be retired. She looked at me like I was crazy. Okay, the room erupted into laughter, and my team lead took the mic from me and she said, good luck with that. She didn't know the huge amount of resolve that had been fortified in me in my short lifetime. So here I stand before you today at the age of 33, still on track to retire at the age of 35. And I don't mean retire in the sense of the word of sit around and not do anything or not have to work. But I mean to be in a position financially where I can do what I love day in and day out and impact my community on a large scale. You see, grit had to be a part of the equation in order for that to happen. See, I work less than others, and I work more than others, and I don't enjoy some luxuries that others have. In the words of Dave Ramsey, I live like no one else so that later I can live like no one else. But the road hasn't always been easy, as you guys have heard in my story. I've struggled and I've stumbled, I've succeeded, and I've been scared out of my mind. But grit has been the companion that has carried me along the way. And I don't believe these stories that either you're born with grit or you're not. Sure, some people are gifted with grit, but others master it along the way. The athlete who goes the extra hours to perfect her craft, or the student who goes above and beyond to master a concept, or the young woman relentlessly chasing her dreams and knocking down obstacles in the way. Those people have grit. So I have a few lessons that I want to share with you that I have learned in grit. And the first lesson is grit gets up when the chips are down. When I was a single mom in college, I didn't cognitively understand that I was overwhelmed and drowning in anxiety. See, I was a high-functioning depressed person. So I kept going and going and going until I was in a haze. And then one day I collapsed on my kitchen floor as the reality of my situation sunk in. I felt hopeless and paralyzed by my situation, and I wanted out in the literal sense of that word. And at that time, my daughter was around 4 or 5, and she found me on the kitchen floor weeping. And she came over to me and she said, "Mommy, it's going to be okay," reassuring me in her own little 4-year-old way that things would work out. I knew in that moment, as I sat on the kitchen floor in my Section 8 housing, that I had to keep going because there were little eyes watching me. And maybe that's the case for you. Maybe you have a child or a niece or a nephew or a student that motivates you. Or maybe there's a kid somewhere on the planet you remotely like. And if you don't have the strength to do it for yourself, do it for the next generation of young women rising up. They need you. So as I sat there in that moment, not knowing how I would make it out of the projects, or even provide the next meal for my sweet little girl, I decided that day that I was going to get up and keep fighting for a better life for me and my little girl. And I did just that. So the next lesson I want to share with you about grit, it's interesting because it's an interesting lesson, but I want to demonstrate it for you. A few weeks ago, I spoke at the University of Houston at a conference for girls called the You Are Worth It Summit. And I wanted them to realize the value of believing in yourself and recognizing who you are and that you're totally okay how you are. But there was a more important lesson that I wanted them to learn. And now I'll have my teenage daughter, Anaya, come up to help me demonstrate this lesson. Come up, Anaya. You guys give a hand clap for Anaya. So she doesn't like to be up front. Mommy's always up front, but she's like, Mommy, what you doing? So she's not prepared for this, but we're gonna work through it like I had the girls work through it at the conference that day. So now stand with your back to me. So on the count of 3, I want you to think. Think specifically about what I'm saying, okay? I want you to think that I am your very best friend who moved away a long time ago, and you haven't seen her, and when I say 3, you're seeing her for the very first time. I want you to think like that's happening, okay? You got it? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Now, I want you to think this way. I want you to think that as I'm standing behind you, I'm a person who has been terrorizing you. I'm a bully. So I want you to think that you're in the hallway and this person who has been terrorizing you physically and emotionally is walking down the hallway and it's just you and me. What would you do on the count of 3 if you're thinking that way? 1, 2, 3. All right.
Good. I'm not making it.
I taught her well. So now we're going to do one more time, Anaya. And I want you to think that I'm a family member who is getting ready to pass. I'm terminally ill, and this is the last time that you get to see me. I want you to think in those terms. What would you do on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. You too. All right, you can go have a seat now. Give Naya a hand again. So I want you guys to help me with something. What was a common word that I kept saying? Somebody just shouted out. Think, right? So I kept saying think. I said, Anaya, think this way, or think that way, or think this way. The way you think influences the way you act. Better yet, being gritty requires you to think of yourself as capable of climbing any mountain and defeating any obstacle in your path. Oprah Winfrey says, you don't become what you want. You become what you believe. So as you're going about your days, I want you to think of yourself as having grit. What are the terms that you believe about yourself? What are the things you say to yourself? Do you just think grit is something that you just don't have? You can start today. Resolved to have grit, to chase after it relentlessly. Agreed? All right, perfect. So we're going to talk a little bit more about grit. This is hard for me, y'all, because grit is something that I have had to realize that God blessed me with, but it's almost like you don't know how to wear it, right? So you're struggling, you're going against the water, you're trying to figure things out, but grit is like a lifesaver. So I want you guys to embrace that today. I want you to believe that you can get grit today. One of the things that I love about grit is that grit keeps going, or it gets going in the face of adversity and when things are going well. And I know that may sound counterintuitive, and I know most people think, it's like you really need grit when things are tough. I would suggest the opposite. I believe that you need grit when things are going well. You see, when there are no issues and no struggles in life, you cease having to fight and to persevere. Those are the times when complacency can creep in, and it can really cloud your judgment. So instead of you chasing your big, audacious dreams or stepping outside of your comfort zone, you may resolve yourself to just being okay where you are. And I think that's a risky place to be. I think Anaïs Nin said it best when she said, "The time came when the pain to remain tight in a bud was more painful than what it took to blossom." And I think that is so true. And I'm learning that lesson right now. So as Star introduced me as a former career coach, that's a fresh wound, y'all. Because when I tell you I recently closed down our career coaching business, I mean like last week. So I was just at the place where my career coaching business was taking off. I had more clients than I could handle. I had all these people reaching out to me. I was like, okay, I'm doing something right. But I'm a kingdom girl, y'all. And I very much believe that career coaching was a Brittany thing and not a God thing. Okay? And so I just believe that obedience is better than sacrifice. So with fear in my veins and faith in my heart, I stepped out. I decided to take the risk to become something greater than what I've ever been before. And it's funny because we're talking about the elevator pitch, and I'm like, Lord, don't have anybody come get at me, because I don't even know what I'm doing next in life, right? So I'm like sitting there with my daughter acting like we ain't never talked. And I was just like, God, I don't have it figured out. But I trust and I know that as I continue to do what is in alignment with my calling, that doors will open that nobody can close. Amen. I know that as I take the next step, things will begin to work out in my favor. And so I just keep going. Keep trying to understand grit. Keep trying to be resilient in the face of adversity and trials, and when things are going well. How many of you know, and raise your hand for me, how many of you know that life's greatest blessings are often just beyond your biggest struggles? The grit or dirt in our lives becomes fertilizer for our failures, catapulting us to great success. You guys know that? When I was younger, and I used to be a hoop star, y'all. I thought I was going to get a college scholarship playing basketball. And I came off the court one time, and my coach looked at me. I made a mistake on the court. He looked at me and he said, "You're a has-been." This is my coach. He didn't know. In fact, I was a has-been. I had been sexually assaulted by one of the members of the boys' varsity team. I had been drowning in depression and anxiety. I had been in the fight of my life. And he counted me out that day. And it's so funny because now he wants to be my Facebook friend. And I'm like, no. You weren't down when I was struggling. Don't try to hop on now. And so as I was studying for this speech, I came across a lot of amazing acronyms for grit. And I want you ladies to remember some of them today. One of them that was really, really awesome was guts, resilience, integrity, and tenacity. And I'll say that again. It was guts, resilience, integrity, and tenacity. And while I love what that message says, I think there's a bigger lesson that I want you to learn here today. And it's my own acronym that I came up with for GRIT. And that is, get ready, it's time. Okay? It's time for you to look fear in the face and to fly. It is time for you to challenge the status quo and pursue your wildest dreams. Let's break that statistic that says most of us will not achieve our goals. It's time to turn your cans into cans and your dreams into plans. Ladies, the world is counting on you. The next generation of women, they need to see your grit. And it's funny because my daughter, so I made her listen to me while I was practicing this speech, and she had no idea what grit was. She's a teenager. And we have to teach our kids how to be gritty. Sure, she's watched me exhibit it throughout my life, but she didn't understand what the word meant. She's like, grits or grit? Like, what is it? So my message to you is that I would encourage you to go after your dreams with abandon, to chase your giants, to slay your giants, to believe in yourself as if you were Brittany and you were crazy enough to think that there was nothing that you couldn't accomplish. And as I close this speech, I want to share with you a poem that I wrote. And the irony of this poem is that I wrote it right before I was admitted into a psychiatric hospital. So I was on the brink of a breakdown, but there was still a glimmer of grit inside of me. So I hope that as you leave this session today, you are more gritty and you have more the audacity to dream big. That's my hope for you today. So here I am, center stage, a rehabilitated hate addict with a heart that used to be filled with rage. But that doesn't make any sense. When did all that anger commence? I mean, how could that be? See, I'm a preacher's kid with a call on my life for ministry. But I was only a teen and I couldn't understand why. Why I had been chosen for such punishment. Why had I not been able to circumvent the pain? And after that, how could any self-esteem remain? See, I remember the first time he hit me, spewing shame all over my name, and he beat me. With every blow, my spirit descended lower than low. God, no. But today, I can say that I've been beaten and I've been bruised. I've been broken and used, but I flipped the script and decided to listen to a new voice that offered to give me a hit. This voice inside me that whispered softly and said, Brittany, stand up and rise. Stand up and rise. Rise, young woman, for these circumstances don't mark your demise. There's more to you, so much more left for you to do, so let every bruise push you ever onward to achieving what's been ordained for you. So with the same hands that attempted to yield off blow after blow, I beat the odds. Because my God said no. No, you will not be a statistic. The statisticians must have missed it when they forgot to factor in that I created you to win. With the destiny so beautifully written that even a blind man can see my vision, my resolve to keep the fight, to keep on pushing towards what's right. Oh, my life hasn't been trouble-free. That's not my story. That's not me. See, the first man's family came along and he said that the shades of mocha that grace this face disqualified me as his bride. And I was forced to take that one in stride. Then this man came along and he said that he wanted my hand in marriage as we considered thoughts of the bundle of grace that would come to lay in the carriage. But the crash and burn was something that I had not considered. And before I could come up for air, I was forced to remember the journey of pregnancy and parenting alone. So in a moment, yes, I'll own it. I became single mommy to precious princess number 2. But why didn't I abstain? Abstain from the rain that clouds the days of single parenting. Single mommy, yes, that's me. Singularly responsible for these lives entrusted to me. And I'm so glad that I chose life. Life for me so that she could see what it means to be brave. So I wore my scarlet single mom S across my chest as I walked into the front of the church, unsure of what was next. Well, I'm not proud of my mistakes, but I got what it takes to hold my head high and no longer ask why. I understand that in this life, there is no redo. And all that's left for me is what's left for you. And if you and I unite with all of our past struggles and pain to leverage the strength that still remains, we have the power. The power to weave a grand tapestry of hope hour after hour. See, if we give our lives for them, maybe the seraphim will rejoice as these young women navigate through life, making wise choice after wise choice. May they stand on a grand landscape of hope that no tragedy, injustice, or shame could ever revoke. So as I stand here center stage, I use my voice to say my age has not rendered me ineffective. To make a difference, that was my directive. And that's my message to you. So follow my lead if you need to. See, I sent my sorrows to the bottom of the sea. And to ensure that I don't fall back into remission, I put up a sign that says, no fishing. Thank you, ladies.